This is truly the time of the year where I get to talk my shit. Greetings and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the disappointing books I read in 2024. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Vlogmas, babes. We are posting every single day in the month of December, and now we are entering our end of the year content. I'm going to be wrapping up pretty much everything that I've read this year, and I decided to start with the most disappointing reads. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I hate trashing books. It actually hurts my soul. I just want to recommend you guys good books and talk about the things that I do love and the authors I do support and just want to read more of. I don't want to sit here and yap about books that I hate, because that's depressing. Also, to be fair, not to toot my own horn or whatever, but I really feel like I know my reading taste. I know the type of books I like. I know the type of authors I like, the genres, the subtropes. I have been reading for a long time. I know my reading taste. So I feel like I'm actually pretty good at anticipating what books I'm gonna like and picking up books that I genuinely think I'm gonna like, because I want to have a fun reading experience, okay? This is truly my favorite cozy hobby, and I don't want to read a book ever. So I am definitely someone who DNFs all the time. I'm definitely someone who doesn't pick up a popular book just because of the hype. I want to enjoy the books that I'm reading. I want to talk about the books that I'm loving, but you know, every once in a while, I do have a disappointing read, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. As always, I have to give a little bit of a disclaimer. These are my own opinions. These are books that were disappointing to me based on my reading taste. If these were your favorite books, absolutely love that for you. As Elmo says, it's a difference of opinions. It's all in good fun, honestly. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about my top 5 disappointing reads that I read in 2024. To be completely honest, I feel like in 2024 I really leaned into my reading taste and the type of books that I like. Read a lot of 5 stars, read more fantasy, read a lot of fan fiction and Omegaverse, and just leaned into those subtropes that I absolutely adore. In really discovering and honing in and tapping into my preferred reading taste, I definitely am quick to know what I don't like. And what I realized this year, well, I kind of already knew this, but it really solidified it this year, was that I just don't like straight contemporary romances the way some other people love popular straight contemporary romances. I could do a whole video, babes, on contemporary romances that I DNF'd this year. I'm not saying I hate contemporary books all the time, because there are authors that I think do it exceptionally well, but there were a lot of contemporary books that I just wasn't vibing with this year. So I kind of wanted to just make that general disclaimer instead of nitpicking every single contemporary book I didn't like this year. Okay, let me move on. Let me go ahead and talk about the top 5 books that I was just really disappointed in. Okay, so the first one is probably the most disappointing to me because I actually had the highest of hopes for, and that was An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. Now, if you go on Goodreads and you look at my rating, I gave it 3 stars. And you're probably thinking, Samantha, 3 stars is not a bad rating. You say that all the time. Yes, I do say that. But I really thought that this was going to be a 5-star read, so it's incredibly disappointing to me that it ended up being 3 stars. Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson is a vampire book that is one of my favorite books of all time. I think that is definitely in my top 5 favorite books of all time. I love the audiobook, I love the writing style, I love the gothic undertone. Just everything about that book to me is absolutely perfect. It follows our main character, Lady Constanza, who is essentially known as Dracula's first consort. It's following her very toxic relationship with Dracula throughout the years. It's romantic, it's horrifying, it's a little bit gory, it's also kind of sad. Love this book so much. You guys know I'm obsessed with everything that has to do with vampires, and this is one of my favorite books in vampire literature. So when I found out that she was not only writing another book, but she was writing a sapphic Carmilla retelling, I was so excited. I was elated. This was my most anticipated book of the year, and I was shocked that it was not 5 stars. Education in Malice is a dark academia sapphic romance that is supposed to be a retelling of Carmilla. And the reason I say supposed to be is because really, it's not. it's not Babe. I read Carmilla this year, and it is another one of my absolute favorite books. Like, it is up there with Dracula. In fact, Carmilla predates Dracula and has inspired so much vampire literature. It is quite literally a staple in queer literature in the sapphic community. For it being a classic book, it feels incredibly modern, and it's just absolutely amazing. If you've never read Carmilla, I highly recommend it. So we're coming in with very high expectations reading An Education in Malice, right? It follows our two heroines who are academic rivals, kind of both vying for their professor's attention. It's supposed to be enemies to lovers, but the stakes just didn't feel incredibly high. It's supposed to be dark academia, but instead of the writing style feeling gothic and lyrical, it felt a little pretentious. I was really excited for the sapphic romance, but I just felt like the characters did not have enough time together. Their romance almost felt like a subplot, to be completely honest, and I just wasn't believing the all-consuming chemistry that the author was trying to make them have. There are still a lot of things I did like about this book, hence the reason I gave it 3 stars and not anything lower. But because I had such high expectations and knew exactly where the references were supposed to be coming from, I don't know, I just think it fell short. I was very disappointed. Very, very sad. Another massive disappointment because of the hype and because I went into it expecting to love it so much and just didn't was Butcher and the Blackbird by Brynn Weaver, and this kind of extends to the second installment of that series. I think it's called like Leather and Lark or something like that. I actually really hate this series. I do. I fear this is a me problem because so many people love this book. So many people love this book. It is marketed as a book of 2 serial killers falling in love. 2 characters, our hero and our heroine, are kind of like Robin Hood types. They are serial killers who hunt down serial killers. They kill and hunt down the bad guys, and somehow they end up meeting and kind of turning it into a competition of like who can catch the bad guy first. Everyone was saying it was so dark. It's such a dark romance. Oh my gosh, it's such a dark romance. I've read darker. I have definitely read darker romances. I just don't understand what this book was trying to be. It's a dark romance, but it's a romantic comedy. It's friends to lovers, but it's super sexy and steamy, and I don't feel like it excelled at anything in particular. As far as it being a dark romance, I really don't think it was. Like yes, it had some darker themes because like murder, but the actual romance was a very slow burn, very much friends to lovers, and I have absolutely read way darker shit. Listen, I have been reading fan fiction and Wattpad and AO3 for many years, and I have just read darker stuff. And then it was supposed to be funny, like a funny romantic comedy dark romance, and I just didn't find it funny at all. I felt dead inside. So the concept itself didn't feel incredibly unique because we've had romances and dark romances done before following hitmen and serial killers like the Mindfuck series or that Onley James series. So again, just didn't feel incredibly unique. Didn't really believe the romance between our 2 characters. I didn't really care about the plot. I didn't like it. Okay, I feel like I'm ranting at this point. I don't think I like this particular author's writing style. I tried to read the second book in the series and I DNF'd it. So another book that I'm like, is it a me problem? Is it a me problem? It's Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Is that the author's name? Yeah, that's the author's name, Lauren Roberts. This is the first book in the Powerless trilogy series. It is a YA romantasy book. Now, I am partial to some romantasy books, okay? I do love them from time to time. However, I did not like this one. I really didn't. I understand what this book was trying to do. I do. I feel like it had good concepts, but poor execution. I love a fantasy book that has trials in it, okay? This was very much giving Divergent and Hunger Games, that type of dystopian fantasy of the mid-2000s that I absolutely loved. So I did expect to like this one, but I just, again, feel like it had good ideas and the beginning of the book started really strong, but it just tapered out. I don't feel like any part of the book was fully fleshed out. The magic system, the kingdom, the world building, the romance, the side characters, everything just felt half done. I just feel like I'm being so harsh. I'm really sorry, guys. I do not like to trash books again, but you know, that's what this video is about, just talking about my disappointing reads. If you liked this book, I'm so happy for you. It could be a me problem, but I also found the heroine absolutely insufferable. The heroine was insufferable. I really really could not stand her, not one bit. Didn't ever want to read anything in her point of view, to be quite frank. I am a character driven person, so if I don't vibe with the main fucking character, it's a problem. The other thing I am learning about myself is I do love fantasy. I really love fantasy as a genre. I just don't know if I love romantasy as much. I'm kind of in a phase of like epic fantasy where I'm more interested in the world building and the magic system and less of the romance, because I read so much romance. When a book has like plot holes and half-done ideas and it's just not as fleshed out when it comes to the magic system or the political intrigue, I just lose interest. I do still like romantasy. I do. There's so many that I do love, but right now I'm just in a phase of really wanting books with like cool fucking magic systems and like epic world building, if that makes sense. So yeah, I didn't really care for this one. As far as the romance goes, it was a slow burn romance, and again, I just didn't care about it because I didn't like our heroine, so therefore I didn't care who she ended up with. So there's that. All right, this next one is a little bit more obscure because it is the 4th book in a series, but it was incredibly disappointing to me because I loved the first 3 books in the series, and this 4th book was terrible. Absolutely awful. And it was Enter the Multiverse by C. Rochelle. This is the 4th book in her Villainous Things series, and just hot garbage. I gave this book 1 star. It's one of the few books that I gave 1 star this year. I was devastated. I was so mad at this book, and I ranted about it to my best friend for months. I'm still ranting about it, actually. It's just so frustrating when you're like invested and dedicated in a series, and each book is so amazing and so great, and then you get to like the last book in the series and it's trash. So the first book in the series is called Not All Himbos Wear Capes, and the idea of this book is essentially if supervillains and superheroes had a romance with each other. This book is also really funny. I kind of personally think of it as a romantic comedy with very slight sci-fi elements to it, because you have superheroes and aliens and blah blah. I love the first 3 books in the series. They're all male romances, and they're so campy, pure camp, pure fun, just bonkers crazy books that are so wild and crazy, but also really good at the same time. I have hyped up this series and talked about this series and recommended so much. The 4th one, I don't understand where it went wrong. I just don't understand it, okay? All of the books follow different siblings in a very popular villainous family. Enter the Multiverse follows twins. And my first immediate problem with this book is that the twins share a love interest. It's not a love triangle. They share a love interest. They have like a mind connection that is on like 24/7. So it was very much giving incest. Yeah. I couldn't get into it. I am not the type of person to yuck someone's yum at all. And I feel like I'm usually quite open to kinks and things. But like this was just too fucking much. It was gross. And also the plot went absolutely nowhere. Okay. First 3 books were so interesting, and then the 4th book just threw in all of these random plot points that really didn't make sense. All of the books that I talked about before, objectively, I can see why other people would like them. And I mean no offense when I talk about them, but like this book right here, it's fucking hot garbage. And I mean that with every fiber in my being. Alright, so my last disappointing book I want to talk about is really more so an author that I'm just not vibing with, and that's Emily Henry. I know. I'm really sorry, guys. I know people love her. I get it. But I don't know what it is about her contemporary books that I'm just not vibing with recently. I try to read them. I listen to the audiobooks. I try to read them physically, and I always end up DNFing them. I read Beach Read, and I loved that book. Like, absolutely loved that book. Gave it 5 stars. It was one of my favorite books of that year. And then everything after for me was just so disappointing. After I read Beach Read, I had gone back and read more of her backlist because I loved Beach Read. I wanted to read more of her books. So I had read A Million Junes and The Love That Split the World, and I hated both of those books. Those 2 books I don't feel like is a good judgment of her writing style because they're almost like magical realism vibes, but then after Beach Read, she kind of like switched gears, and now she mainly writes contemporary women's fiction vibes. I tried to start People We Met on Vacation and Happy Place and Funny Story, and there's just something about her writing style that I don't know, I'm bored, and I always find myself DNFing. For me personally, I still don't see them as romances. I see them more as women's fiction, and that's typically not a genre I pick up often. I can see objectively why contemporary readers would love her books and kind of like vibe with her writing style. Branding and all of that stuff is very on point, but it's just not my personal vibe, which is disappointing. I kind of want to be a part of that club. I want to get it. You know what I mean? But I just don't get it. All right. I am so sorry about that. I'm so sorry about that. Guys, if any of these were your favorite books, I'm sorry. I really am. I fucking hate trashing books because authors put so much time and energy and effort into their art, right? And at the end of the day, books are subjective, and your favorite book could be a book that I hated, and my favorite book could be a book that you hated, and that's the joy and the beauty of reading. It's all subjective, and we have so many options. There's so many authors, so many books to choose from that I hate focusing on the negative. I really do. But those are my top 5 most disappointing books and authors of 2024. If you stayed this long and you enjoyed the video, give me a broken heart emoji. Just a broken heart emoji because my heart is broken that I didn't like these books. Leave me a broken heart emoji if you stayed this long and you enjoyed the video, and I'll know we're bookish besties. As always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. I promise I'm much more positive than this. I swear I am. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Nonetheless, I hope you guys are staying happy and healthy and having a wonderful holiday season. And I love you guys so much. I will see you in my next Vlogmas video. Bye!